and welcome. Dr. Jim Sharps is a natural health educator, lecturer, author, and consultant. He is currently president and CEO of the International Institute of Original Medicine, IIOM, an accredited, biblically based, distance learning natural health institute of higher learning. IIOM offers certifications and degrees from the bachelor's to the PhD level. His books, Basic Principles of Total Health, Concepts of Original Medicine, and Ways to Wellness Natural Recipe Book are designed to equip and empower his readers with concepts and principles for physical, mental, and spiritual health. He is the former president of the board of directors of Self-Healing Research Foundation, a director of the International Society of Naturopathy, and director of Integrated Health Therapies. He runs a private practice where he conducts both on-site and teleconsultations. Dr. Sharps holds a PhD and 3 doctorates in naturopathy, herbology, and nutritional science, a Bachelor of Arts in economics, a master's in business administration, and worked for over 20 years in the information technology field prior to transitioning to the health and wellness field. He is very active in the church, where he has held a number of offices, including being an elder, director of health ministries, chairman of the school board, and chairman of the board of the Adventist Health Network of Greater Washington, covering over 90 churches. He lectures internationally on natural health to a broad spectrum of audiences, including corporations, schools, churches, and various support groups. Dr. Sharps' diversified background and contagious enthusiasm makes natural health both an enjoyable and informative experience. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming to the podium Dr. Jim Sharps.
Well, thank you very much for the very kind and warm introduction. I'm absolutely pleased to be here. I'm honored to be here. I wish I had the opportunity of having such a career expo when I was in my formative years. These students don't realize how blessed they are. And I am very happy to be able to participate in your first expo. I really enjoyed the pastor's opening comments. And when you see my presentation, you would think that he wrote it. Because you see how much in harmony we are in terms of what the focus should be in terms of being your own boss, being entrepreneurship, etc. So if you allow me to share my screen, I'd like to start my presentation. But while you're doing that, let me just open with a quick prayer, if you don't mind. Gracious Father, we praise you, we glorify your name, and you thank you for all of your blessings. We pray that you encamp your angels around all of us who are attending. And you know the things that I came to speak about, those things that are consistent with your will. I pray that you help me to emphasize, and those things that are not consistent with your will, I pray that you overrule those things so that this time that we spend together is a blessing and not a curse, that your will is done, not mine. And if any good comes out of this time we spend together, all of the honor and glory goes to you. And I pray this prayer in the very precious name of Jesus Christ, our Lord, our Savior, our very best friend, and the one and only Master Healer. Amen. My topic is going to be one that I am very impassioned about, being your own boss, health evangelism. And I just want to share with you the topics I'm going to be covering in terms of this entrepreneurial empowerment, real empowerment via health evangelism. Now, when I was your age, I'm talking to the kids now, to their children, to our valued students. If you told me about health evangelism, we'd be having a fight. I said, this is crazy. I don't want to hear anything about that. And when you see the topics in my background, you'd appreciate it. But I want you to really understand the legacy that you have as an heir, beneficiaries of the most powerful system known to man for preventing all chronic degenerative diseases. the empowerment we have with not only the gospel, but with health reform. The only institution, the only group in the entire world that God called for his last day prophecies and for his health reform movement. So these are the topics I want to cover today in terms of this empowerment. I'm going to talk about a tale of two careers, entrepreneurial empowerment of health evangelism, the IIOM role in helping you or the role that it plays in personal and entrepreneurial health empowerment. And the most important thing is I really want to answer your questions if you have any questions and answers. Now, the original presentation, at first I put together the presentation, then I looked at it. Then when I realized I really want to hear what your questions are, because that's how I can most productively help you. And when I say that, even your teachers, parents, any questions that you might have, so that you can be empowered to really understand the key message that I want to bring across. So I put together the presentation, then I took away 6 of the slides, and then I took away 12, and hopefully this is going to fit. But I promise you, if you let me, I'll bore you to the state of tears talking about my favorite topic, health evangelism. So if there's not any questions, I'm going to start pulling back some of those slides. But I'm going to do my very best to finish in a time frame to give you ample opportunity to ask any of your questions. So you might want to ask, why do I start out with a tale for two careers? And you'll see why as I go on, and the blessing that you have. Most of you can tell that I'm not a teenager. I'm probably not in my 20s. I've been around for a long time. I've had 2 careers. So I'm going to tell you about 2 careers. My first career, and that whole era, was about 30 years. My second career is a little over 30 years. So I'm talking about 2 halves. And the first career, I basically wasn't blessed to go through to be a Seventh-day Adventist. I came to Seventh-day Adventism through the health message. So you can see why right from the start, I have a particular passion for how I was snatched from the jaws of defeat in my quest to want to make a whole lot of money. So I was raised a Catholic. I was in seminary the last 2 years. So my first 12 years was in the Catholic system. And then I left and I wanted to have nothing to do with Christianity. I got a BA degree, a degree in economics, advanced business degree, and I worked in IBM for about 24 years, 12 years in various jobs from administration all the way up through systems engineering and marketing. And then the last 12 years there, different levels of management, all the way from first line management all the way up to executive management. I also studied tax laws, all the major religions and health systems. And if the truth be told, I was just about to become a Taoist before I became a Seventh-day Adventist, having studied all those different health systems and all of those different philosophies and religions. So that was the first 30 years. And in my mid-40s, my midlife crisis, I realized that my quest to make a whole lot of money it actually left me very unsatisfied. I went as high as I could. I was making a 6-figure salary. And just a little bit about my background. I came from a family of 6 children. There were 8 of us, and we all lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. My parents slept in the living room. They pulled out the couch, and in the bedroom, there were 3 boys and 3 girls. I was the oldest. 2 bunk beds, one on one side, one on the other. I was in the top bunk. My 2 younger brothers were in the lower bunk. The oldest girl was the top bunk on the other side, and the other 2 were in the bunk below her. And we only had 1 bathroom. And so my whole objective was to be able to grow up and make enough money so I can have an apartment with 2 bathrooms in it. So I didn't have very high objectives. So by the time I was in IBM and I had a house with 5 bathrooms, you can see I made it to the promised land. So I made the money. I was there, and I was very disenchanted. A lot of the things that you heard the good pastor talk about, I didn't realize that I became a slave to that system. They were paying me well, and if I stayed, I would have become more and more of a slave, because in order to keep that money, I had to really compromise a lot of my values. And I was a secular person. I wasn't even involved in Christianity in any big way. As I told you, I started studying all these other religions, and I was blessed to find out just about when I was going through that midlife crisis. I took a severance package, 6-figure salary, and I decided to go into the health system. It was a choice between opening up a tax franchise and doing business and finance, which I know very well. I was trained in that, or the health system. Now, what I didn't tell you, I was blessed with poor health. I had a whole lot of health issues, allergies, skin issues, heart palpitations. I took a test when I was in my early 30s, this is while I was in IBM, and I had, I was told that I was allergic to 103 different things. I was afraid of strawberries. I couldn't eat anything. And as you can tell with my education, I figured out this was a prescription for disaster. So I took up health as a hobby. So while I was at IBM, I went to a number of health seminars. I have a number of certificates and a lot of crazy things like acupressure and some of them worthwhile, massage, etc. And that was where I spent, my hobby was health. So I solved a lot of my health issues. And so by the time I was my mid-40s, I couldn't stay there because all the travel and the drinking of all the coffee and all the staff meetings and the terrible food, I couldn't pursue my own personal health, which if you're very sick and you get healthy, it gets very addictive. You don't want to go back there again. So that takes me to my second career. And that's when I took that 6-figure salary. First I wanted to be a medical doctor. When I looked at the curriculum though, at UC Davis, I was living in California at the time, and I looked at the curriculum. I said, this is crazy. This doesn't make any sense. See, I already studied a lot about health, and I don't know if you saw the curriculum for medical school. It doesn't help you at all with health. Around that same time, I found out they had these distance learning schools. I was going to go to a school, a brick and mortar school. It would cost me $140,000, but I was willing to do that. But as you can see, I was in my late 40s, and can you just picture me, a mid-40s person, sitting around in your classroom with a bunch of 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. So I really started praying then. That's about the same time that I got baptized, and it was a blessing in disguise. So I got my doctorates and a PhD. I was told it'd take me anywhere from a minimum of 2 to 5 years. In that 2 years, I had my 3 doctorates and a PhD. And about that same time, I became a Seventh-day Adventist. And I was so much in a hurry to get my doctorate, my first doctorate, that I was taking all the time to study. But the interesting thing was I said, you know what? I'm not going to violate the Sabbath. And actually, I still to this day, I don't know how I did it. That first doctorate, they told me that the fastest that anybody has ever gotten a doctorate through that program was 2 years. I got my first doctorate in 9 months. So by doing it God's way, I was blessed. And in that 2-year period, I actually got 3 doctorates. And shortly after that, I got my PhD. So doing it God's way, committing yourself to the Lord, He will bless you in many, many ways. So the way I became a Seventh-day Adventist is for my first doctorate, I had to do a doctoral dissertation. And I did my doctoral dissertation by evaluating a major Adventist wellness center in 1993. And you know what our wellness centers are. They do the massage and the health, and they at that time, this one was 21-day program. So I evaluated their entire 21-day program. I'm skipping through all the ways I got to that point. But at the end of it, I went to the president and I said, you guys have a really good program. Now, I knew a lot about health. So you have a good program, a really great program, but you make two mistakes. And I told him what the two mistakes were. And the president, with my background and my education, he didn't have a chance. He didn't have a prayer trying to argue with me. He didn't know about health. He was the president. And this is another theme. I found out afterwards that most Seventh-day Adventists really aren't equipped and qualified with the health message. And that's one of the reasons why I became a Seventh-day Adventist. I'm going to be around a lot of people that think like me. But anyhow, he sent me to the director of the department, who happened to be a medical doctor, and he didn't have a chance either. He just was, and I was basically coming back to him, nothing from the Bible, just common sense and science. And then at the end of 2 hours, he got kind of frustrated, and he said, we also go by the spirit of prophecy. I said, what are you talking about? What's the spirit of prophecy? Now, I knew about Ellen White because in these wellness centers, they pray for all of the people that are there. And so I just sat in the corner and I watched and I listened, and I just respectful, saying, who is this Ellen White person that they keep talking about? But anyhow, when he said that, but they were making so much sense. The health made a whole lot of sense. And then everything that they were talking about in health, about this Ellen G. White person, about what she said about health reform, and I said, wow. And so I said, you know what? This thing that I wanted to do, this Taoism, maybe I should give Christianity another chance. But then when I heard that, I said, okay, these people are a cult if they believe these two things. So he gave me 2 books, Counsels on Diets and Food. What I said was, tell me again about this Ellen. She says this, she promotes this thing that you're talking about. And he said, yes. I said, well, tell me. I didn't know that she was such a prolific writer. I knew they were reading from this funny looking book about some things that she talked about. And I said, and I read all of the experts. I knew all of the experts. I even went to Thailand. I talked to the top Buddhist over there. So I knew all about health. I knew about the top Taoist. He was an 87-year-old guy that looked like he was in his 30s. He was so healthy. So that was my model of what great health was all about. And so I said, tell me what she wrote. He said, well, she's the most prolific female writer of all time. I said, what? How come I never heard of her? He gave me the 2 books. I read the Counsels on Diets and Foods, the Ministry of Healing. I came back 6 weeks later. I basically told the president, I didn't go back to the doctor. I went to the president. I said, she's right. You're wrong. He went to the CD and the things that I was telling him, he said, oh yeah, you're right. She did say it. And 6 months later, I was a Seventh-day Adventist. So when I tell you about how this is the most powerful system known to man, and whether you want to be dirt poor or be a millionaire, this is the place you want to be. You can call it health evangelism. You can call it about a health practice. And so that's what I'm going to share with you. And I wanted to give you this background so that when you have your questions, you'll have a context of where I'm coming from. And so after coming to Seventh-day Adventist and having my 3 doctorates, I did a lot of seminars, churches, corporations, support groups, online, etc. And as noted, I am currently the president and CEO of IIOM. So why health evangelism? First of all, Jesus did more healing than he did preaching. It affects your discernment and usefulness for the victorious life, no matter what you're doing. Even when I was in IBM, I figured this out. So at Seventh-day Adventist, this is a no-brainer. I figured out that my brain would work better, my body would work better, and even Ellen White, she says that how can you serve God with sickly bodies and dwarfed minds? So even if you want to be a carpenter or anything else, you need to know about health. And you're going to see why it's really important that everybody, no matter what your career is, you get involved with health reform. Now, health evangelism is where the real money is, but health reform. It's the right arm of the gospel. God's health laws are the most powerful system known to man. Now, I know what I'm talking about when I say that. There's no more powerful system. It's not Ayurvedic medicine. It's not Taoism. It's not Hinduism in their system. None of those systems. This is the most powerful system. And it is a really great platform for health evangelism and health reform. And the pastor said this, it's almost like I thought he was peeking at my presentation. Health reform will be a part of the last great effort to proclaim the gospel message. And the key is, here it is right here. I wish to tell you that soon there will be no work done in ministerial lines, but medical missionary work. And you can see it now. You heard the pastor talk about what happened in COVID. That's a wake-up call. That's a sneak preview of what's coming. And there's more coming down the line. And it didn't start then. It started in the early 2000s, and I've seen it in the health system. And it's gotten progressively worse. So, what are the advantages of the medical ministry entrepreneurship? So let's just take a look a bit at this. And it's reflecting, I'm saying it a little bit differently, but I'm saying the same thing the pastor said. Autonomy, freedom to make your own decisions about how to run your ministry based on your unique skills and objectives. Creativity, innovation with permission only from God. I had a lot of creative ideas when I was in IBM, but I was told what the policy was. I was told what to do. And you can tell I'm not a person that likes to take orders a lot. And I'm probably like a lot of you guys, because I know you guys are smart, and I know you guys are creative, and I know you guys are equipped. I've seen your curriculum. So you have that creative, you have control, and as the pastor said, all of that can be in alignment with your spiritual values and goals. I had a tough time. I wasn't even a Christian, and I was having a tough time living up to my standards and goals while I was staying in that first career, in that first area of my development, of my participation in the workforce. Personal development, the opportunity to be in the field for personal, physical, mental, and spiritual growth and development. So it helped me with my health, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of these things that the medical ministry does. And you heard the pastor talk about community impact, the opportunity to witness and interact with your community, providing valuable support for their improvement, health, and vitality. A sense of accomplishment. And it's incredibly fulfilling knowing that you're co-partnering and cooperating with God's end-time prophecy and ministry. And I saved the best for last. For those of you who want to make money, financial potential. You can develop substantial income and wealth to support yourself, members of your family, your ministry, and other ministries. So I can tell you, in this second career, I'm doing way better financially. And it's given me the opportunity not only to support myself and my family, but many other ministries. So if you're looking for money, to make money, you can do that as well. Now, if you want to be dirt poor, you can be very healthy in your dirt poor environment, and you can still be helping others. So even if you lose from a money standpoint, you win. So what is IIOM? And let me just quickly go through this, tell you what IIOM is, and tell you how it can help you and empower you in this health evangelism, the medical ministry world. So IIOM is the education arm of Global Health Ministries. It's an accredited, biblically based, natural health distance learning school that emphasizes and showcases the Adventist health message. The Bible, the Master Healer, Spirit of Prophecy. Now, when I'm talking to secular audiences, I say it a little bit differently. People don't know what the Adventist health message is. They don't care. but I still talk about the fact that it's biblically based and that it's natural health and it's accredited. Now that's very important to secular people. It's not as important to us. Now the school that I was the chairman of the board of, we became accredited. We went from a K through 6 all the way up to an academy during my 5 years there. And you can see with my background in health and business, etc., how I could help to shape that. But the fact of the matter is they were nowhere near. I know, I chaired that. Their curriculum was not as good as you guys. You guys are equipped and qualified. As a matter of fact, you're the only Adventist academy I know of that basically has the depth of health reform in the curriculum. Now, there's only one other one that basically was the person that ran the school was one of our students and modeled their school after one of our certification programs, our Certified Nutrition Counselor program, which you'll see what that is in just a second. But this is what IIOM is accredited, and essentially what it allows a lot of the secular folks to do is to be exposed to our health message and be accredited, and they can go for their boards to be nationally recognized, board recognized in naturopathy. So how can IIOM contribute to an outrageously successful medical missionary career? That's what I want to spend on. Now, I talked to you about Global Health Ministries, and so Global Health Ministries and IIOM, I'm talking about both, but primarily IIOM, what our mission and goals are. And it's basically to provide relevant education and material our health partners, not patients. That's what we teach. In the medical profession, people are patients. And you got to be patient. You have to listen to everything the doctor is saying. You have to be a health partner in this field. We guide and direct, but we can't do anything. Only God and the Holy Spirit can get people to reform themselves. And so that's what you'll learn and you'll understand. And it takes a lot of the pressure off of you because you don't own them. God owns them. And this is a very important thing to understand in this field of health reform. We're health partners. People that we're working with are partners, not patients. It encourages personal commitment to health because you can't go around falling apart with all kinds of heart problems and all kinds of medications and talking to other people about health. Now, the next two, I'm going to just leave that alone. For my secular audiences, it's very important. But a lot of, I'm finding out, our Seventh-day Adventist graduates are becoming board certified. And for various reasons, so that they can work in various areas. And it means something to be board certified. But it equips and qualifies medical missionaries better than any college out there, Adventist or non-Adventist. It is the number one accredited school of naturopathy in the world for health and medical missionaries. Now, there are other secular schools out there. There are what I call the brick and mortar schools that teach about 80%, but none of the biblical content, none of the spirit of prophecy content, but a lot of the health stuff. But it's at $140,000 or more. This, for under $10,000, you can get a PhD. So you can see the value and the cost effectiveness of this. So what we're about, what our mission is to establish an original medicine health infrastructure. A lot about what you heard the pastor talking about, communities, where there's health centers, organic farming, restaurants, assisted living, evangelism, other ministries, other work, carpentry, all of those things, but being self-sufficient communities, self-supporting communities that you're not dependent on the government or that infrastructure. So that's what our mission and goal is at Global Health Ministries and at IIOM. Career opportunities, the full spectrum from medical missionary, nutritional counselor, and consultant. These are all the things that I've done. Nutrition assistant to health practitioners at institutes. I actually was the guest director of health at a major, a very large wellness center where for the short term, they didn't have a full-time director. So I came in and I directed their health programs, health practitioner with a private practice, which I did which I still do. I started a little over 30 years ago, and I still have a practice. Matter of fact, I stopped advertising for the practice over 10 years ago because it was growing too much and too fast, and it was making me too busy. And that's when I had little children, and I didn't have time. I wanted to spend more time with them than I did in the practice. So most of my practice right now, over 90% of it, is through Zoom, just like this. My clients are international, all over the world. One of my clients was actually a princess of Thailand, so from all walks of life. And that's what you have the opportunity. When you get really good at what you do, you will engage in a lot of contexts. So I'm a natural health author, blogger, social media professional. Sister Lamont mentioned that I have 3 books. That was I have 5 now. I just published my latest book called The Ultimate Answer to Health and Vitality. And that just was published in October through Teach Publishing. So we're still growing, dynamic. Natural health supplements retailer, seminar speaker, leader on various natural. The owner of the school, owner of a health and wellness business, Institute of Health Restoration Center. So all of these things, it's a wide range of opportunities. And this is the most important. The 12 charts that I took out is related to this. And this is the latest, and that's what this book is based on. This is where a lot of the excitement is. It's a home-based. You don't even have to leave your home. You don't even have to, you can have your pajama bottoms on and dress up like me with your best bib and tucker, your tie, and run a whole business right from your home in a home-based international health monitoring and practice with RBTI. You probably never heard of RBTI. Most people that I talk to, most pastors, most doctors, nobody has heard about it. But it's a very, very powerful health monitoring system. It's a health analysis, like a blood test, way more powerful than a blood test. So if I have time, and let me look at my clock. I put this in yellow. I see I'm not going to be able to do those 12 charts, but I'll do a 1-minute summary at the end. This is very powerful and something that even your school, I'm even going to talk Sister Lamont, and to start introducing parts of this into your curriculum. You already have the makings of it, and a little bit of time on this is really going to make you equipped and qualified, and you're going to be head and shoulders over anybody in the health field. So it's a very comprehensive program. We have all 7 types of programs. Original medicine, and original medicine is basically the spirit of prophecy. Counsels on diets and foods, the ministry of healing. So we have 11 courses. One of them is one of the books that Sister Lamont talked about, the concepts of original medicine. I wrote that book basically to give the foundational principles that the school is based on. We have 15 nutrition courses, 8 on botanical medicine, analytical and alternative medicine. We have 10 courses there. We have conventional medicine. So you'll learn about anatomy and physiology. You'll learn about medical terminology and diseases. And why? This is natural health. You need to be credible when you go out there. And when people start talking in medical terms, and they're talking about the feet, you're not pointing to their fingers or something like that. You need to have some understanding of it. You don't need to be steeped in it, but you'll have a good foundational understanding. And then there's health assessment, there's RBTI that I talked about. We have 7 courses. That's new. And then program completion. Everybody has to basically demonstrate that they understand the coursework. So they have to either do a project or a thesis or a doctoral dissertation. And up in the PhD program, you actually have to do a practicum to show that you really understand and apply these principles, not just have a book knowledge of it. So here's what our programs are. Those ones, the first 6 are the ones that we started with. in 2003, and these last two, the PhD is 2 years old. We added that to the curriculum, and this certified RBTI in original medicine practitioner is our newest course that we just announced 2 months ago, and getting a lot of excitement because a lot of people they don't want to take the time to go all the way through the doctorate or the PhD, but they want to start making money right away. And so this is a hybrid of this RBTI and the original medicine courses, and it basically teaches them how they can have a practice right after this certification course. And one of the courses is a course called Legal Guidelines for Unlicensed Professionals. So it shows you how you can have a very good practice and stay out of jail at the same time. Because it's, the law is about practicing medicine without a license, etc. So what are the qualifications for enrollment? Okay, what do you guys think the qualifications are? I'm going to pause for a second. Okay? So the IIOM qualifications. I'm positive everybody on this line, everybody here qualifies. Because the first qualification is a 6th grade education in common sense. And I know, just knowing about this, a willingness to be equipped and qualified with God's original medicine laws of health. So you have to be motivated and be willing to learn. We're serious about this. This is not a game. So if you're not serious, you probably don't want to come through this school. And we have an enrollment committee that evaluates students' academic and life experiences for qualification for both the certificate and degree program. So let's take this a little bit further. Let's go very specific. For all of our certificate programs, the qualification is the 10th grade or higher education. You can do it with less than that, but that's normally the youngest person to go through this program happened to be my youngest son. He was 11 years old. And that was that. And we give you 2 years. And if you're like how my kids were, they were on their phones and doing all kinds of gaming and spending too much time in TV. And it started out one summer. Basically, my wife and I said, you have to finish the Certified Nutrition Counselor program. If you don't finish it, you only have an hour of gaming and TV. So we were smiling at each other. Said, this whole summer, they're not going to be on their computers. They're not going to be doing anything. My 11-year-old and my 15-year-old at the time, they finished it in 2 weeks. So that's why I said earlier, if you're motivated and you have a 6th grade education in common sense, you're qualified. The B-Sound program requires an associate degree or equivalent life experience. The master's, the doctorate, and PhD, a bachelor's degree or equivalent life experience. But IIOM will develop a combination program for you from the CNC all the way up to the PhD program. So we have some people who right out of high school want to be a doctor. As a matter of fact, I just signed a certificate yesterday, a doctoral certificate. It's a father and mother. They're both medical doctors, and they sent their 3 children through our school. The third one just got his doctorate yesterday, and we put together a program where we put them through the CNC bachelor's doctoral program. So they got their qualifications for their associate degree, their bachelor's for us, and to get their doctoral program. And me and my wife were smiling, saying they saved hundreds of thousands of dollars sending them to medical school, and now they're equipped and qualified, and they spent for all of them less than $20,000 for everything for 3 students. So our enrolled students include ages from 15 to 88, all professions, including corporate America, nurses, doctors, PhDs, medical missionaries, pastors, teachers, conference workers, and we even have one of our graduates is a retired conference president. So it's all walks of life and the full spectrum of all kinds of careers, all kinds of religions and everything. When I first started the school, it was 10 to 20% Adventist. It was mostly secular. Now it's 80 to 90% Adventist and 10 to 20% secular. And a lot of you haven't even heard of us. It's all word of mouth. We advertised for a little while. We stopped advertising in 2015 because we were growing too fast, and then we needed to put on the skids. And I know a lot about business, and most businesses I know fail the year after their highest revenue. And we were growing so fast that I said, you know what, we need to step back, organize, put the management structure in place. And we're just about there now. Both of our kids are doctors, and they are executives already in IIOM. So the prior study credits, IIOM will consider in its evaluation credits from other institutions, formal and informal, professional experiences, life experiences, or discipline study programs with documented proof of attendance and description of the activities. If you participated in seminars, short courses, one-day programs may be considered if their content is material and relevant, and all the information is reviewed by our enrollment committee for relevance and creditworthiness. And so you can imagine our medical doctors, for example, they get quite a few credits because they know all of the conventional medicine courses. So they get those all waived. So that's quite a bit of credits. And so that's an incentive for them to come through because they're not going to start up and go through all of the 90 credits, for example, for the doctoral program. So they get credits. Nurses get credit. Some people who attended some of the medical missionary programs, like at Uchee Pines, Wildwood, etc. We used to give them more credits. We give them less credit now because what I found out is that they might go through those courses, but they're not really equipped and qualified. And what we would do is we'd let them test out, and they were failing. And so we were saying they read the books maybe, but they weren't really getting it. But we do give you credit for relevant experiences. And this is consistent with our fair and balanced approach that meets the needs of all of our value students as well as the IIOM high standards of excellence. Now we have something called CQI. It's continuous quality improvement. And for every course you take and for every graduate, we get feedback. And so we use that feedback to improve the program, etc. And so we made some fine tuning over the years, and so it continues to grow based on people like you coming in and giving us feedback about, matter of fact, eCampus. We learned about that. So as I'm winding down, coming soon, here are some things that are coming. Formalized internships and practicums, blueprint for the quintessential IIOM Lifestyle Center. My oldest son is writing this book now on how to put together a lifestyle center, tips and techniques. It's a kind of follow-on to this book here. It basically tells you about the system, but it shows you how you can start your home, have either a home business or run a wellness center. A lot of the wellness centers are not as managed as well as they should, even from a business or financial standpoint. Most of them are 501c3s. You have no idea what I'm talking about, but if you go into business, and some of the parents out there, if your ministry is that's the wrong structure. So we help with all of that. And so we're going to have more business development and management courses available, and partnering with existing lifestyle centers. We already have a number of partnerships already. And a lot of our graduates are running lifestyle centers in England, in Europe, in Africa, and here in the United States. And what we're putting together now, as we speak, my two sons are organizing that, is International Association of IIOM Associates. And right now we have a water cooler thing and Ask the Doctor, and we have a lot of different things using social media, etc. So, as I'm ending up, here's an insurance policy. You have to have an insurance, any business you're going through. And for the medical missionary insurance policy, is universal, 100% coverage, whole body, mind, body, and spirit. No cancellation for pre-existing conditions. No yearly lifetime caps for the insurance. You can keep your current position or exchange for the heavenly option. It's affordable, single payer. Jesus already paid the price. And 100% satisfaction guarantee. It's the only school with an eternal life policy clause. And you heard me say in the beginning, working for the Lord, the pay can be meager or it can be great. but the retirement plan is out of this world. So this is the best career to be. I want to end up with some spirit of prophecy, food for thought. And this is very important. And you heard me make mention of this. Many, even those who profess to believe the special truth of this time, are lamentably ignorant with regard to health and temperance. They need to be educated line upon line, precept upon precept. Your school does not fit in that. But every single other Adventist institute, they are poorly equipped and qualified in this area. And Ellen G. White was absolutely correct. And you guys have a powerful foundation. And with this, it'll take you up to the next level. And it's completely in harmony with where you are in health reform. The Save to Serve is one of my favorite ministries. Matter of fact, the devotional that I go through every day comes from their daily devotional. So I'm a big fan of Serve to Save. And that's one of the reasons why I agreed to do this. As a matter of fact, Andrea Lamont, Sister Lamont, doesn't know how to take no for an answer. She came back 3 times with us saying no. And then when we looked at it, we said, oh, this is where we can take the time out of our busy schedule to do this. And the next thing I want to share with you, it is the law is designed that the restoring influence of health reform shall be a part of the last great effort to proclaim the health message. And this is it. I wish to tell you that soon there will be no work. So if you want to be unemployed, I don't care what you do. Ignore what I just talked about today. There'll be no work outside of ministerial, out of the medical missionary work. Even that retired conference president, pastors, one pastor basically came to our school, got his doctorate. He left the ministry. He left his pastoralship so he can do full-time ministry, medical missionary work. And he has a very successful ministry. And actually he was having problems with his conference with being too focused on the health message. So I'm not going to even go there, but you saw what happened during the pandemic. People were coming to me rather than the churches to sign that they don't have to get vaccinated. The churches weren't even, a lot of the churches, they were closing up. And so they were kind of falling in line with everyone else, which was kind of unfortunate. But it also, I didn't put it on here, but the Ellen G. White also said, in the time of trouble, now 1 in 20 are going to be prepared. No, not 1 in 20 whose names are on the books. She's talking about Seventh-day Adventists are going to be prepared for the time of trouble. And what I didn't tell you is I became a Seventh-day Adventist in 1993. I wanted to leave in 1995 because as I was going around to all the churches, I was getting more encouragement and support from the church, from the non-Seventh-day Adventist community than I was getting from the Seventh-day Adventist community. And I wanted to leave. And I was reading the Bible, and one of the people that I talked to, actually he was a former dean at Loma Linda. We had a nice long 4 or 5 hour conversation. At the end of that, I realized that there's no place else to go. Once you found the truth, where was I going to go? I couldn't go back to Hinduism. I couldn't go back to Taoism. This is the truth. We have it, but we need to live up to our legacy. So with that, I'm going to open up to questions, and I have a question for you. I wanted to see if you were paying any kind of attention to what I was talking about. I want to see if you have, if you know this answer, and it is, what are the 2 most empowering original medicine supplements for being your own boss? I'm going to pause. You can write down. You don't have to put it in the chat or anything. I'm not trying to show you up or anything. And this is for the parents everywhere. What are the 2 most empowering original medicine supplements for being your own boss? This survival. What are the 2 most powerful supplements? Okay, you ready for the answer? The first one is vitamin B. Bible study. The second one is vitamin O, obedience to all of God's moral and natural laws. And when I include in that, when I talk about God's moral law, I'm talking about the spirit of prophecy. That is basically really shines a light on the Bible the way nothing else can. So with that, I want to really thank you for your time and kind attention. But I want to tell you, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, you're going to hear a lot of good speakers. Make sure you're doing it all for the glory of God. I tried to help you to understand how the health evangelism is a very powerful, empowering career choice. But whatever you do, make sure you're doing it all for the glory of God. So with that, we want to wish you from IIOM health, happiness, and God's richest blessings as you pursue your health goals, objectives, in any of your ministries. And if you have any more questions, if you don't have them now, if we run out of time, you can always reach us through our website, iiomonline.org, or info@iiomonline.com with any of your questions, and we'll get back to you. So with that, this basically summarizes what I just said. I talked about the water cooler. You're welcome to kind of check out some of the things that we do. Every Tuesday, we have a free water cooler from 2 to 3 p.m. where we cover topics, all kinds of health topics, mind, body, and spirit. And I do a complimentary Ask the Doctor every Friday at 10 a.m. And through the Mighty Networks. So with that, I'm done. Your questions, I think I might have run out of time. I won't have time. Let me just spend 1 minute on RBTI. RBTI is a science-based analytical tool to measure. The bottom line is, the 12 charts basically saying, it basically shows you how well you are honoring God's 8 laws of health. Way more powerful than any other system out there. It's a 5-minute test, and it tells you a whole lot about digestion, whether or not your program is working. I'm trying to get it in all the wellness centers. And one of the shortcomings of the wellness centers is after they're done, they go home and then they lose connection. With this, they can do the testing in their own home. They can give the numbers, and you can have that remote connection. You don't have to go into an office or anything like that. It's a very, very powerful system. It stands for Ream's Biological Theory of Ionization. It basically tells you how your body is taken apart and put back together again with numbers. So I don't have time to go through this. So I'm just gonna. I know I ran out of time, so I'm going to see if there's any questions. And if there's not, I want to really thank you for your time and kind attention, and wish you the very best of health and happiness. Are there any questions?